Like I said, we get close to 2010, every engine manufacturer out there, except for International, the only way they can meet 2010 emissions is to go to diesel exhaust fluid. International decided to go to advanced EGR, which is another way of saying more EGR to meet what they had to for 2010. Cummins wanted to very badly, but if they crank up the EGR, their horsepower was so bad, their fuel economy was so bad, Cummins said nobody'd ever buy that motor. So they went to diesel exhaust fluid. International was very hard-headed and said, we're going to figure it out. 2010 hits, EPA then, the NOx had to further be reduced to 0.2 grams divided by brake horsepower by hour. Now, I don't know about you, but when I first saw that, the guy that was doing the presentation wearing a very expensive suit, nice shoes, you shoot his suit probably cost more than my pickup. He was talking about this and I raised my hand. He said, yes sir. I said, I have no clue what a gram divided by brake horsepower by hour is. He went on to explain to me that that is such a complicated measurement. There's only 2 machines in the United States that can even perform that test. I said, well, that explains it. We ain't got one in Dallas. I ain't never used it. I still don't know what that is. Is that big as a barn or small as a bread box? He said, well, let me explain it a different way. He said, you understand money? Oh, well, I understand money. I understand the lack of. I keep going to work. I ain't hit the lottery yet, so here I am. He said, if I change that into money, it'd mean you'd have a coin in your pocket. You'd have to have 20 of them to equal 1 penny. That's pretty small, isn't it? That's where the emissions are on today's truck. Now, International did not go to diesel exhaust fluid in the beginning. They tried to meet it using those credits that they had earned earlier. They got to 0.3, not 0.2. So International this year did go to diesel exhaust fluid to finally crest that, to get to 0.2. Now, if you want to know if the after treatment system is working on a truck, you don't need a computer. You don't need to crank it up and look at the lights on the dash. All you need to do is walk around and look at the exhaust. That pipe should be, and usually is, cleaner inside than it is outside. It's amazing how clean that diesel engine is burning. Remember, just a few years ago, every time you shift gears, you see that black just bellow out? Is that still happening today?
No, not in most trucks, depending on how old it is.
Actually, it is. It's still a diesel engine, but it's not going into the atmosphere anymore. We have cleaned it up. We have got better fuel management than we had, but it's still a diesel engine, so it's still creating soot, but now it's not going out the tailpipe. We're collecting it, so it doesn't go in the atmosphere. There's a commercial going around. This girl's about to put diesel in I think it's a Lexus, a high-end luxury car. Everybody's screaming, no, that's diesel. You seen that commercial?
Yeah, I seen it.
Yeah. The whole catchphrase of it is clean diesel. What are they talking about?
They talking. Well, I'm trying to put it together. What they're talking about on that commercial is cars can run off of diesel and still release less emissions in the air.
They're not talking about the fuel itself. They're talking about the emissions, the exhaust. That diesel is so clean. You can take it to a hazardous environment like Mexico City or probably South LA. The air going in the intake is dirtier than what's coming out of the exhaust. It's that clean of a burning engine. It's amazing what we've done with the technology to get these diesels to burn that clean, or as nasty as they used to be. Fuel had to change. You know, I say Ford was buying 500,000 engines from International a year, put in their pickup. That's a lot of diesel pickups, isn't it? Why do you think people was going to diesel so strong in the 70s and 80s?
Mileage.
Well, no, actually gasoline get better fuel mileage. But the cost per gallon was drastically different.
It was cheaper.
Yeah, remember 74?
Yeah.
Gas tripled overnight. Diesel didn't.
Diesel didn't.
Diesel stayed the same for years. But now, diesel is 50 to 75 cents a gallon higher than gasoline. What caused diesel to jump so bad? I'll tell you. EPA steps into the oil refinery again. They'd already got gasoline under control. Now they told them, we want diesel cleaned up. You got to start lowering the amount of sulfur that's in the diesel. In 2002, they mandated the fuel had to be 500 parts per million. Then they came back and it mandated again. By 2007, it has to be 15 parts per million. There was a time when you would fuel, you would pull up and you may see this on one diesel tank and the other one would be number 2 diesel. And then a couple years later, you'd see this one and then you'd see ultra low. You had a choice between low sulfur and ultra low. Today, you don't have a choice. This is the only diesel that's out there. It's ultra low sulfur. Whether it be off-road diesel or anything out there, everything has to be ultra low. When they stepped into the oil companies, they told them, you ain't got a choice. You got to clean this up. Again, it's going to be expensive. You got to do it. So here goes the diesel prices. And this is what's driving the fuel prices up so much, all the forcing of the oil companies to clean the stuff up. Oil changed. Another invisible change. They forced the oil companies, when they refined motor oil, to refine it better to remove the ash out of it. The oil today is actually a better oil. It's backwards compatible. It's just cleaner than anything we've ever had. But it was just refined better. Also caused the price of the oil to go up.
I'm sorry, man. My wife had an accident. Hey, Trick, I'm in orientation. I gotta call you back. Nah. All right.
Components on the engine. That truck you had in 98, when you flipped the hood over, pretty much the engine was all you saw. Now when you flip the hood over, how many things do you see, you scratch your head and say, I wonder what that is?
A whole lot.
There's a whole bunch of stuff on that engine.
A bunch of wire and all kind of new stuff.
There's sensors and wires, and this one is the inlet throttle valve. It works hand in hand with the EGR valve. They both work the same way. There's a butterfly that opens and closes. This one will restrict fresh air. The EGR valve would open, this would close some, so it would force the engine to take in the EGR gas to lower the NOx emission. The cars in the 70s and 80s, when that EGR valve opened, it was all the way open or all the way closed. It was mostly open, so it flooded those engines with so much exhaust gas, it was just killing the power. We learned from the automotive and gasoline side that we can do this better. What we did, we put position sensors in here and gave the ECM control. It can actually close one of these valves, say 13%, and open the other one 24%. Well, then that position center reports back where it went to, and it'll tweak it if it needs to get the exact blend that it needs of fresh air and exhaust gas to get the emissions we got to meet without killing all the horsepower. But this also is driving the need for all those sensors and those wires that we have. 2007 was a big year in our world. I said, I started at Cummins in 1974, so I've been working on trucks for a lot of years. But I chose diesel over gasoline because cars were complicated, trucks were simple. Well, guess what happened in 2007?
More complicated.
That ProStar out there, all the trucks in 2007, we surpassed Detroit. The diesels are more complicated now than any Cadillac rolling down the assembly line. We have more computers and wires and sensors. It's a challenge to keep up with. Now, let's talk about our mechanics for a minute, our technicians. You ever took your truck or your car in somewhere, when you looked at the shop, you looked around, and you seen one of them old boys, man, I hope he don't get mine. I always get that one. That's always the one. But you think, man, is he really smart enough to fix this? But it's a challenge we have today. You ever dropped your truck off for something, say, especially a check engine light, and it didn't get fixed?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all had that experience. It's frustrating, isn't it? Now, why do you think it didn't get fixed?
He couldn't figure out why
Couldn't
it was
figure
coming
it out.
on, or why the light stayed on, or
A lack of
analysis
training.
on it.
There is your key right there. In our world today, it is so complicated with our trucks. Our technicians, they can't be just an old grease monkey like they used to be. Now they have to understand computers, and they have to understand electronics, stuff in a diesel we never had to. When I started, they'd simply take a new guy, put him with a guy that's been there for a few years. The engines were the same year after year. Pretty soon you catch on. But now everything is changing so fast and it's so complicated. Our engines, we have mass airflow sensors, humidity sensors, barometric pressure sensor, multiple temperature sensors across the engine, checking the temperature of the fuel, the oil, the coolant, the air coming out of the EGR, the air coming off the turbo. We have speed sensors on the turbochargers. We have speed sensors on the camshaft, on the crankshaft. There's sensors and wires all over those things. That being said, it makes it really a challenge for the technicians to stay up with current technology. There is a bad thing that's happening out there that I got to make you aware of, and I see this all the time. Let's say you're in San Antonio, you're heading through Dallas. You get to Waco, small town, check engine light comes on. You pull in the dealership there in Waco. They've got probably 8 or 9 mechanics working. Take them a while. Now, what do they say when you pull into the dealership? We'll get right on it? Or they say, just park over there, we'll get to it.
When they get to it, you got a bed do this on the table.
Yeah.
The order thing. You got about 7 of them in front of you.
Yeah. Oh, you're lucky if you only got 7. Yeah. Take a number and wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so you patiently wait. Some guy gets on your truck. First thing he grabs is a computer. He goes out there and he pulls the fault code up and he clears it. All right. Now, several hours later, they say, okay, buddy, we got you all fixed up. Here's your keys. You get back in the truck, you get 50 miles north of Waco. Check engine light comes back on again. Do you turn around and go back?
No, I'm going straight.
You're going to Dallas, ain't you?
Going to terminal.
Yeah. So, do you even gonna call that dealership and tell them they didn't fix it?
No, I probably micro my driver manager and let him know.
Let him worry about it. That's what's happened. Did that dealership get paid for the repair?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, he did. Did the technician get paid?
Yes, he did.
Did the technician even know he didn't fix it? No.
The
truth is,
he'll know when they get up here to international.
the truth is, the guy working on your truck, he really did want to fix it, but he doesn't know. He's struggling to learn how to fix the trucks because he hasn't been educated. Those small dealers, they don't want to spend that kind of money on training. That's very expensive. Russ Trimble owns all of this. He is very big on our guys being well trained at what they do in every field. That shop right there, you got some of the sharpest guys. Jeff Benson is the shop foreman over here. He's extremely sharp, and our philosophy is we want to train our guys and keep on top of all these things.